Hi everyone, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're starting the final week of the Starry Cabin quilt along. This week, we're putting our blocks together into the quilt top and we're adding our borders. Let's get started. I have my blocks here and I have this flat-ish space. I used to clear off a spot on the floor and do this, but the past couple times I've been using the top of my pool table, which is really narrow, but we can make it work. So follow along in the pattern and lay the blocks out in the rows and the columns that it shows you to do. So the first time I just set all these blocks out and I didn't really pay attention to what is next to what. But now I'm gonna look it over and I'm just gonna see, are there any better ways to distribute the colors that I'm using? Do I wanna move anything around? And so I just do that until I'm satisfied with how it looks. You know, it'd be better to have this on a space that's big enough to see everything because I have some overlapping here, which makes it hard to see how the colors are exactly interacting, but I'll just work with it. I am gonna move some stuff around, so I do that now, and then after I move them around, I take a look at it again, make sure everything looks good to me. If not, I move it again, and repeat that process till I'm satisfied. I moved a few around and I'm pretty satisfied. I don't overthink this step at all. A lot of times I don't even move things. I love the randomness of just however it's put is how I'm happy with. And so I'm happy with this and I'm gonna start sewing everything together. So if you wanted to work in rows and then sew the rows together, you can. If you wanted to do a grid like I usually do, you can do that. It's totally up to you, but just start assembling your blocks together to make your quilt top. I have this all sewn together now, just the blocks so far. I didn't add any borders yet. And then before I move on to the borders, I make sure that everything is actually laid out correctly. While I do the grid method and that kind of keeps everything in order, you know, it can happen that a block gets turned the wrong way when you're stacking them. And I just try to make sure that everything is looking good before I put the borders on, because it's easier to unpick this now. You can do it later if you don't notice it until the quilt top is fully assembled, but this is easier than having to work with borders too. And once I'm sure that it looks good, I just start adding the borders. So we have an inner border and an outer border here. The inner border is our background color, and then the outer border is whatever color you choose. You can just cut your border pieces to size as listed in the pattern, and then you can just start sewing them on. If you'd like to pin, you can pin first. I usually just go for it, but whatever way works for you is just fine. You're gonna start by sewing on your inner border, which is the same color as your background, and then after the inner border, you're going to add the outer border, which is the color, any color of your choosing. And that's that. I have my borders sewn on. This quilt top is finished being pieced. It just needs to be pressed, and then I'll work on quilting it. This quilt top is finished, so let me show you what it looks like. I had a great time during this quilt along, and I hope you did too. If you have any questions on making this quilt, just let me know and I'll be sure to help you out. Thank you for following along, and I'll see you back here soon.